Ren Hanami. Please welcome Ren. She's an award-winning actress, singer, writer, and the national chair of the SAG-AFTRA Asian Pacific American Media Committee. She's been championing the AAPI talent in entertainment. Thank you, Ren. Joining us next is Marc Anthony Nicolas, who is a two-time Emmy Award-winning television producer. His work includes The Kelly Clarkson Show, The Tyra Banks Show, The Talk, and currently the brand partnership producer for The Price is Right on CBS. And next we have Adrian Dev, who's an actor, producer, and industry advocate with who serves, also on the SAG-AFTRA Asian Pacific American Media Committee, and he's also coordinator for the Television Academy AAPI group, and he works to elevate Asian American and Pacific Islander voices across entertainment. Please welcome Adrian Dev and Panney Wei, who is an award-winning TV radio host and restaurateur, hypnotherapist. She's been very pivotal in building businesses and stories that create meaningful impact while building bridges between the East and West. And one of her greatest projects coming up is she's currently co-producing the Broadway-bound musical Working Girl by Cyndi Lauper and Teresa Rebeck. So welcome. The importance of supporting Asian American women or Asian stories especially.
Well, it helped to watch the documentary first because I'd already been thinking about this question, but it was so perfect to show that, the playing field, unfortunately, is still not level. And it gets even harder when we get categorized and limited by what you look like, what your heritage is like. It's always been harder historically for women. They brought that up with the Title IX and the sports and everything. So I think until the playing field is level, which hopefully in our lifetime we'll see that we have to lift up each other, we have to support, we have to have role models. I really didn't have this kind of role models when I grew up, so it's very inspiring. And I think the whole idea of welcoming and the family aspect of it, I'm also mixed race, and so for the girl to introduce that and say, I'm still accepted here, and this is still family for me, was really touching for me personally. And so I feel now that I'm in a little bit more mature part of my life, that it's still important to have role models, to have people to support you, for each other, for us to lift each other up, so that maybe someday in our lifetime we'll see real equality. And I really appreciate it. I really appreciate this film, and I appreciate being able to be in this industry and champion projects like this. Thanks. Thank you, Asian Hall of Fame.
Yes. And thank you, Ren. Ren is also an inductee of the Asian Hall of Fame. And I think this is something really key too, is having those role models. But in order to have those opportunities, we have to have films such as this one and others. And of course, that always requires backing and creating. And so I think it's so important for the community to come together for those things. Marc Anthony, you have such a fascinating background, also an inductee of the Asian Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
And I'd like to hear from you why it's important to actually bring content in from the Filipino community.
Yes, I think every person here, Asian or not, our stories have to be heard. I was born in the Philippines, and when I came here, my mother, she was a hotel housekeeper, and my father, he was a truck driver. But my passion was always into television. And so my mom wanted me to become a pharmacist. And so I was a pharmacist for 5 years at Kaiser Permanente. But for those 5 years, I was really unhappy because I knew that my passion was in television. So I quit that job, became a server at Olive Garden restaurant. And I was there for another 5 years, sending out my resumes to every network possible. And by the grace of God and the universe, I got a production assistant job at a reality show. And I moved my way up from a PA to an AP to a producer to a supervising producer. So I think it is important for Filipinos and all Asian stories to be heard, and I think it's my responsibility as a talk show producer to have those stories heard, because we want to learn and we want to grow. We all have what it takes to live our life and reach our goals. And with resilience and the power of passion and heart, I think we can do anything and we can make anything happen.
So beautiful. By the way, I was supposed to be a pharmacist. You did better than me. You lasted 5 years. I quit after a year. I was like, can't do that. So wow, didn't know that about you. Learned that today. By the way, I do moderate a lot of panels, and I have to tell you, today is so special because there are very few moments where, number one, you know everybody, but more than that, that everybody on the panel is Asian American. Like, it just, there's this different feeling that's there. So thank you all for being here. Adrian, both of us are South Asian. We know, and probably many of you have seen South Asians in the finance industry, tech, medicine. But there's so much more out there, and a lot of South Asians have come into the industry. But how can we create more stories? What do you think needs to be done to expand these stories? Because there's still not enough.
I think as a South Asian entertainment, I think it's more, moments like this when you're with your community, and it's not just, people always say, when you're South Asian, they'll be like, are you Indian, are you Pakistani? And I like to use South Asian as an Asian American because it's so much more inclusive. And I think a lot of people don't get that South Asia is 8 countries. It's almost 2 billion people, 1/5 of the world's population, which is insane. But I think, it starts with just telling all Asian stories, and not just Asian stories, Asian American stories. And, coming together with our community in moments like this, inspired by amazingly strong women like Rasha and Ren and Maki, and, relying on the power of our people and just telling our stories, whether, like for me as Asian American, it's always like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I can't speak South Asian languages. Like I speak Japanese and Spanish, which doesn't make sense. But I think, it's just, telling our stories and remembering that, it's all universal, and our power's in our people.
Thank you, Adrian. And I think what I was thinking about as you were mentioning that before I get to Panney too, is that when we say community, I think the word support is really important because it's easy to bring community together, but what do we do beyond that to help one another, to help share those narratives, to, help tell those stories even with other communities. It doesn't have to be with only fellow Asian Americans, but our stories do need to be out there, and I think that's really a key thing to share. Panney, you have such also another fascinating background. You've been so great about bringing different communities together as well as your storytelling narrative. So could you talk a little bit about how you kind of compare, I would say combine different aspects in what you do to tell these stories?
Okay. It's an honor to be here, first of all. Thank you so much to Asian Hall of Fame. My company is called Harp Ventures, and what I do is I merge cultures and introduce and elevate Asian culture east and west through food and entertainment. And so those are, and also sports. Those are areas I feel are like universally recognized, universally accepted, celebrated, there's cultural exchange. And so some of the projects I've been a part of was like the film Linsanity about Jeremy Lin coming to the NBA, his meteoric rise to the NBA. Right now, the Knicks are in the finals. When we first came across that film, my daughter, who's here today, she was just born, and we thought about this idea because we had grown up with Jeremy, and we thought, like, how can we elevate our community, shatter negative stereotypes about our community, and also inspire people, the American people, to dream a bigger dream for themselves, for our API community to dream a bigger dream for themselves, and to picture themselves as a hero in their own life. And so this was a legacy project, and so a lot of the work that I do, not with just only food, but also like in entertainment, is to leave these lasting legacies of projects that I can leave behind for the next generation, because I'm not going to be here forever, so, and then some other projects that we've done, I'm currently producing the Karate Kid musical, which is touring the UK right now, and that's again honoring an Asian narrative, a story that is inspiring. It's our culture, and bringing it to a mainstream audience through a mainstream franchise. And then it'll come to Broadway as a musical, and it's going to go through Canada as well. And then, another project I'm doing is an inspiring documentary on Chef Christine Ha. She's the first blind winner of MasterChef. So what I'm doing is I'm taking stories of people who I feel like are really compelling, but at the same time, I can see myself in them, and I hope that you can all see yourself in them too. And that when you hear their story and you understand their journey, their obstacles that they have to overcome, like for instance, like Jeremy's story is about race, and it's about identity, it's about politics, it's also about culture, it's about, how do you make a name for yourself when you are completely the underdog? And Christine Ha's story is the same. She ended up winning season 3 in MasterChef as a blind person, and she lost her sight when she was 25. And so when you hear those stories, like she bridges communities, not only with the disability community, but also with women, empowering women, but also as an Asian American, and her own like mental health struggles and the cultural narratives that we all experience intergenerationally that get passed down from generation to generation. So I think one of the most powerful ways to help heal humanity and uplift humanity is through storytelling. It's through the sharing of breaking bread with someone. You experience their food. If you eat their food, you can't really hate on them, right? And I want my child who's here today and the next generation to understand that like you can make your dreams come true. You do not have to be limited to be like a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, or have whatever it is that you want to be, you set your mind to, and you find your community, and you get those resources behind you, and you have a clear vision, and you work really, really hard, and also you work smart, you can get where you need to go, just like Christine Ha did, just like Jeremy Lin did, and just like, Karate Kid did too. And that's a real story. The person who actually, Robert Mark Kamen, who we were working with, it's about his life, and he was so inspired by his sensei, because he was, he moved to Encino from New York, and he was having a hard time fitting in. And how many of us have felt that at one point in our life, especially being Asian American, being immigrants, coming to this country like I have. I came here from Taiwan when I was 2, through New York, through New Jersey, and I remember being in Chinatown like every weekend, going to Chinatown and feeling like this is like my home. So those sort of like experiences in my past influence my purpose today. And so everything that I do is very, very intentional, because my time is so very finite here on Earth. And so I want to be able to elevate Asian founders, Asian creatives, Asian storytellers, Asian, producers, Asian anything, and women too, and diverse stories, and people who need a platform and need our support, and bring together our community in all these different levels.
Thank you so much. So beautifully said. And I think one thing too, as a takeaway, is to really be proud of who we are. I mean, I know the younger generation faces so many of their own dilemmas, but growing up too, there was always that battle for myself, being from an Indian family, but owning my Americanness. So I think we're at such a pivotal and beautiful time where we can create and embrace who we are. I would love to continue this panel because we have such amazing panelists, but we do have a movie for you. So I want to say thank you to Ren, to Marc, to Adrian, and to Panney. And I just want to add one thing. This is my soft little plug here, but one of the reasons we do these panels too, to also share, we're all creatives. And I think the important thing that comes down to, even when you look at Hollywood, is the funding. At the end of the day, our stories are not receiving funding. So those are the deeper conversations that we need to have, is how do we support each other? How do we get one another's projects out there? But how do we find those people who want to invest and really fund these projects to help share these stories? So thank you all so much for being here, especially a huge thanks to Goel from Asian Hall of Fame for doing this. And I hope you love the movie tonight, because it's a special one. And Amy, thank you again for your beautiful film. Thank you. And thank you, Disney, for having us here.